Welcome to the Builders of Authority podcast, a show committed to helping you build authority for your brand. In the realm of business and personal branding, authority stands as a cornerstone. Authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. So join us as we build something remarkable together. And now, here's your host, Adam McChesney.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Builders of Authority podcast. We're doing a remote episode here from Adventure Unknown in St. Louis, Missouri. If you're near the St. Louis area, haven't been up to Adventure Unknown yet, send me a message. Would love the opportunity to show you around the business and travel club that we have here. It's where we host the podcast. And also, I just moved my office next door, so it's a great spot for networking, business relationships, events. Would love to have you, show you around the place, and meet the awesome team that's up here helping make this podcast possible. A few months ago, his podcast manager, today's guest, reached out to me to get this episode scheduled. She originally reached out on LinkedIn. The message caught my eye because she's in Nicaragua. I was actually just there last week and knows quite a few people that are at my company. We got to talking about doing a podcast swap, and I learned more about today's guest and their podcast, so I'm really excited for this. My guest today is Dr. Tom DuFore. He is the CEO at Big Sky Franchise Team and the host of Multiply Your Success podcast. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Glad we could connect to make this happen.
Yeah, really excited for the opportunity just to get to know you better. And I've been watching a lot of your stuff, seeing a lot of your stuff online, consuming the content. And if you wouldn't mind just giving a quick introduction on who Tom is and what you guys do at the company.
Sure. Well, I guess I've been fortunate enough to been doing what I've been doing for my entire career, over 22 years now. And I've worked with hundreds of clients going through the process of taking a small to medium-sized business, in most cases, and helping them turn it into a franchise. So I primarily work with what I describe as successful entrepreneurs and help them multiply what they're doing to expand out. And so it's something that I've fell in love with. I'm a big fan of the American dream. I always have been. And so when I started working in this, I thought, well, I get to help someone work with an entrepreneur that is fulfilling and finding their own version of the American dream. And then franchising was a brilliant idea to take these budding entrepreneurs that would otherwise not, without a franchise model, they might not otherwise go into business for themselves. So I've always viewed that franchising as a confidence elixir to help these entrepreneurs go into it. And I recognize it's not for everyone. So it's kind of this helping others live the American dream kind of an idea. So for me, it's always been I've been in love with it at first glance and have been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. So do you guys help the company that needs the franchise, right? Like, hey, I need all the systems, I need all the stuff. And then do you guys also help people that are interested in franchising find a franchise?
Great question. So most of our work is spent working with the founder of the organization and taking that and helping them package it up so that they can go to market and sell it to someone else. Oftentimes I found, and you may resonate with this, that most founders tend to not be the super detailed people that love documenting systems and doing all of that, but they're visionaries. They've got great ideas. They can come up with new solutions, marketing ideas to go and drive the business forward. And so that's why a business like ours really exists, is to pull that information out of the heads of the founders, out of the heads of key leaders and stakeholders at the business, to meet with them and help them through that process. And then on the franchise sales side, in the franchise world, there are two versions of franchise sales. Really, the best comparison is in real estate. When you think of real estate, you have a real estate agent that represents the buyer, and one that's in most cases will represent the buyer, and then the seller. When franchising, there are similar types of sales agents. There are agents that represent the buyers. Generally, we refer to them as franchise brokers, and there are hundreds or thousands of them across the country that help match make a buyer with the right franchise. That's not what we do. We have lots of great counterparts that do a really great job on that. Where we get involved is really on the seller side representation, where we're representing the seller and helping them execute and go to market. And most of the clients we work with that we have worked with over time are just these, what we call these emerging or micro emerging franchise systems that have 0 franchises. And we're helping them try to get their first one or their second or their third to kind of get them launched off and moving.
Got it. That's awesome. So yeah, you guys are like, hey, we have a business that's kind of in their lane, doing their stuff. They have aspirations to go and franchise, but they know based on franchise requirements, there's a whole slew of stuff that needs to happen in order to make this official. And you guys are going to take it every step of the way after they work with you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And when you franchise a business, it's a new business for most of these owners. They've never franchised a company in most instances. And so our role is very similar to what the franchisor does for an incoming franchisee. A franchisee in most situations has never run the kind of business that they're buying into, but there's a process that they go through, and we deliver in a very similar fashion for our clients. The difference is, and I don't know if this is for better or for worse, we're consultants, so we work on contracts and consulting fees. There's no tie-in to a residual. Whereas for the franchisor, you're really building this amazing asset, and through royalty income that really exponentially increases the valuation of the business over time.
Amazing. I was a franchisee once, so I've been in the franchise world. I've worked with a lot of franchisees as well. We have some clients on the digital marketing side that are franchisees. We've worked with some franchisors as well. And then I kind of saw some of the back end stuff on the franchisor side while I was a franchisee. So a lot of people have reached out to me about just different like questions around franchising, like, hey, is this a good friend? I'm like, hey, I don't know those things, right? But let's talk about like a business owner that is thinking about franchising. Why should they franchise?
Sure. Well, it's a great question. We've boiled it down to 3 main drivers that would lead someone to at least look into franchising their business. The first is money. When you franchise a business, the financial requirements no longer fall on the franchise, on the owner of the business to front the cash or get the loan or borrow the money, whatever, to open the next, the second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th, 20th location. Individual franchisees are going to fund the opening of that. And you having been a franchisee, you understand people might say, well, is it really the franchisee's business? Yeah, absolutely it is. I've been a franchisee myself, and it was my money being invested into it and running the staff and making payroll and all of the things that went into that. So the first thing is money, and you're able to use other people's money to grow your business in that capacity. The second is management. And I really view money as 1A and management as 1B in terms of a priority. The number one complaint I hear from most business leaders, any size company, is about people. And they say, boy, I would love my business if I just didn't have to deal with the day-to-day management of my staff and customers and everything that goes along with it, because there's turnover. People come and go. Customers most of them are happy. Some of them aren't, right? And managing all of these issues. And with a franchisee, you have the local owner that is now managing the staff, managing shifts and payroll and managing customers as they come and go. And then the third reason people look to franchise is what I call multiply, or just the ability to grow faster. And even if you were to only sell 1 franchise a year, for most businesses, that is going to be significantly faster than what they're doing today. Most small businesses are lucky if they open up a second or a third of any kind, a territory or a fixed location of some type. And so I have a great example of a client that I worked with. He owns a sandwich shop up in the Northeast, and he franchised, and he and his partner decided we just want to grow at a pace that we know we're comfortable with. And over their first 8 years of franchising, they sold 14 locations, all doing well and moving and doing great work. But that's not going to catch the headlines, right? The headlines are the franchises that sell 100 plus in a year. And that's the exciting thing with franchising, where with 100 franchises a year, franchising provides that opportunity. It's a catalyst for that, where you can catch lightning in a bottle. But in most situations, most franchise systems don't grow that way. It's a new business, just like when you started your business, or I started mine. Is usually kind of this slow ramp for those first 2 or 3 years as you're figuring stuff out and you're kind of getting some wins, you're sorting through it, and then it starts to ramp up for that hockey stick growth.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. I never really looked at franchising as a whole. Like if you would have told me in college or high school or even in entrepreneurship right when I started, like I would be a franchisee and then I would also know the franchisor side of things, I'd be like, you're crazy. Like I don't have that on my bingo card. Because what comes to mind for me is you think of the Jimmy John's and the Chick-fil-A's and, all those different things. And then there's this whole other world of all these other franchises that are out there and so many different ways to do that. And I also tell people is, hey, there's some really, really good franchises and there's some ones that are not so good as well, just as with anything. You got to find, if you're a prospective franchisee, you got to find what's going to work for you and take it from there. But my next question is from a business owner standpoint, right? I think a lot of people have interest in potentially franchising their company, but then they're also like, it seems like a lot of work, right? Obviously, like we can walk through what you guys help. So I want to know what you guys do to like help bring it full circle to go from idea of franchising to launch. But what are some of the things that even if they do, work with you to do that, what are some of the things that a business owner needs to be prepared for to get to that point, to partner with you guys to be able to take their idea to franchising?
Yeah. So one of the common questions that comes up is franchiseability. It's a made up word, but essentially, is my business franchisable? Even if I want to do it, is my business ready? Am I ready? What does that look like? And we boil it down to 3 big check boxes. So if you check all 3 of these, there's likely a strong chance your business is franchisable. Now, should you franchise is the next question, and that's a totally different conversation. But the 3 check boxes are, number 1, do you have a profitable prototype? I know it seems like it's like, well, of course.
Yeah.
But, I've been doing this a long time and not everyone recognizes that when they reach out or call in. They want to start, they've got franchising on their mind right from the onset. So we like to have essentially a proof of concept with that profitable prototype. The second piece is this a business offering or your main product or service that you're offering? Do you have potential customers in most markets across the country? So do you have essentially a national customer base? Not necessarily that people are buying from you today, but if you're based in Texas and you open up in Virginia or you open up in Washington State or in St. Louis, would there likely be potential customers there? At minimum on a regional basis, and ideally internationally. But the idea is if you're going to franchise, you want there to be enough room for growth that it makes it worth it in the long run. And then the third piece that we want to take a look at is, can you teach someone how to do it? Can you train someone? And I really have started to transition from can you train someone to are you willing to train someone? Because most founders are fully capable and their team are fully capable of doing it, but are you willing to give the time and resources to it? And so to your audience and someone that listens in, if you're an independent owner and you've thought, boy, the idea of franchising sounds interesting, but if you don't have that teacher's heart, or you want to be a coach, or you want to be a consultant, if any of those buzzwords sound interesting to you, I want to be a coach, a consultant, a teacher, a trainer, if those things resonate with you, franchising could be a great fit, because ultimately you are building a training business, and that's what you're building, this coaching business that the best part about it for most founders is you're the world's number 1 expert on this business. And so you get to take this asset that you've created and now bottle it and package it up and now share this and distribute this through franchising to other markets across the country.
Yeah, well, I love the way you phrase that too, because a lot of people are like, hey, I've built my business. Now I want to get into coaching, consulting, mastermind, whatever. It's like, well, why don't you actually just become that for your own business? Do it for your franchisees, which helps your franchise as a whole, and you'll make more money doing that if you do it effectively to begin with.
That's exactly right. It's one of the big advantages that owners and founders have is if you want to be a coach, great, do it with your own business. And you're not going to be hunting around constantly, because what many forget is when you're a coach, you're constantly hunting for the next coaching client. Yep. And coaching clients, most of them aren't going to stick around, maybe if you're lucky, for 2 or 3 years, a few years, but there's a constant churn of customers that are going through. That's just the nature of the business. Whereas with franchising, you're signing in a typical franchise agreement is 20-year contract. It's an initial term of 10 years, followed by 2 5-year renewal periods. So you're locking in this essentially a customer to be their coach for the next 10 years, and you share in the results. So it's in your best interest for them to be as successful as possible, versus if you're just a random coach helping someone through, well, you're still getting your coaching fee. Whatever they do or don't do doesn't really matter. Now, obviously, you want your coaching clients to be successful, but there is the this win-win situation that's built into that franchisor-franchisee relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. So what things in the back end are you kind of working companies through once they're like, hey, we're going to work with you, Tom? What does kind of the back end stuff kind of look like?
Yeah. So we take our clients through a 3-step process when they franchise their business to try to help simplify things and compartmentalize it. The first step on the process is focused on strategy. And we trademarked a phrase called the franchise blueprint that we build out. So we build out a franchise blueprint for them. And that's where it's really digging into what is the structure of this franchise going to actually look like? What should the franchise fees be, and the royalties and the advertising fees and the territory structure? And how should you set up your training and support? And who's the buyer of this thing? Is there a typical buyer candidate avatar or profile that we're going to be pursuing? Doing a competitive benchmark assessment. Who's out there doing something similar? And running financials. One of the big things we want to quantify this and say, can a franchisee make a living doing this? Can a franchisee own and operate this and make a living if they're an owner operator and see a return on their cash investment? And what does that look like over 5 years, and validate that it works? One of the things we take a look at in that process is to really consider most founders and that we run into, they tend to be high performers. So if they were to have a system of 100 franchises, chances are they are going to be in the top 10% of their system. So we can't look at what they're doing as average. That would be a disservice. So we actually discount the numbers that we see from an owner that they think, in most cases, they think, well, I did this. Anyone can do this. And it's like, well, I appreciate the humility, but the reality is that's not necessarily the case. And so we actually we discount their numbers to say, okay, well, let's try to get closer to what we think an average would be. And once we validate for a franchisee, then we want to validate for the franchisor and say, is the juice worth the squeeze for the franchisor that's getting into this? Is it worth all the time, effort, and energy? Because it's a good longtime franchise friend in the franchise space. He always says, franchising is a get rich slow kind of a program. And so if you're viewing it as a get rich quick program, franchising is not for you. I would stay away from franchising. To do it right, it takes time. It's going to take 4, 5, 6, 7 years where things are really moving, and now you're accelerating and ramping very, very quickly. And it starts to take off, but it takes time to get there. So that's the first step of the process, building out the strategy, the structure, this franchise blueprint. The second piece then is just the rest of your documentation for franchising, legal documents, getting the franchise disclosure document put together, getting connected with a great franchise attorney. We refer out to that, putting together the manual. The manual is always a daunting task for most owners. And so we're really expert at pulling that information out of the owner's head and the staff's head. And so we do a lot of working sessions with our clients going through this in small chunks, 30 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes at a time, every week or every other week to fit it into a schedule, because most owners avoid this as much as they possibly can. They're going to do anything. They'll check their email before they want to start documenting processes. And so that's part of what we take a look at. And then the third step of this piece is just launching and going to market. So we include a full year of consulting. We have franchise sales training. Even if you work with third parties to help sell franchises, the industry data shows that far above and away, and this is part of the reason why I launched the franchise sales training workshop we offer, is when I look backwards at seeing which of my clients have been the most successful over the years, there were a few common threads. One big common thread is that they figured out a way to manage their franchise sales in-house, that they set aside 2 or 3 hours a week that they could make calls, or they had an admin on their staff or team just follow up with leads to schedule an appointment with an owner. And so I said, well, that's an interesting characteristic. We need to build on that and support that. And then the numbers show that about 20% of all franchise sales every year come through referrals. And referrals, like any business, franchising is no different, have by far the highest conversion rate. Almost 9% of all referrals in franchising convert, compared to, say, an internet lead, where you're looking at 0.4%. So 1 out of 250 leads, or 1 out of every 12 leads. I know which one I'd be most interested in, So that's the process that we take our clients through and really help guide them through this process of becoming a franchisor.
So what makes once somebody gets through like your program, or let's just say in general, they franchise their business, what are 3 things that make a franchise successful long-term? And what are 3 things that make a franchise struggle long-term?
Great question. So the number one thing that I see, those that succeed versus those that don't, and really it is a dichotomy. It's either or. The brands that stick with a consistent marketing execution, where they have marketing spend of some kind, they're advertising, they're doing something to generate lead flow or interest. And that could be paid ads through Google or advertising on Meta. That could be on just doing what I call referral marketing, setting up appointments with friends, family, notifying your past or current customers, working with a group like yours to help build this a brand authority out there about what they're doing, of being an expert in there. That is by far the number one. And it's not just doing it for a little bit. It's consistently doing it for not just 6 months, because the franchise sales process, the average sales cycle is just over 200 days for an average sales cycle. And so most founders, they get anxious, and they start wondering, is it me? Is it my system? Is something going on? I said, no, it's just franchising. It just takes a long time. And we don't know if the lead that comes in, and this in your space, I don't know if it's going to be lead number 12 or lead number 357 that's then going to start that 7-month process to move forward. So your first sale could take 2 years. It's really having the wherewithal to stick with it. So those that succeed stick with it consistently and are willing to make some of those fine adjustments along the way. And then those that don't, either they run it for 6 months and they say, oh, it's not for me, I guess. And it's a shame how many times I've heard clients say that over the years, or it's a start and stop. They'll run an ad campaign for 3 months or 6 months, and then they'll stop for 3 to 6 months, and then they'll start, and then they'll stop, and then they'll start. And so that lack of inconsistency. The second one then is just having a sales process. So once a lead comes in, what happens? And I know I shouldn't be amazed that this happens because I've seen it happen enough, but it always amazes me when a client has spent money or resources or time to gather the leads, and then the lead just sits there. No one follows up. It's not plugging into a CRM. It's not going into some automation system, or it goes into the automation and then the owner has the call and then it just sits. There's no consistent follow-up. The owner says, oh, I'll call him back next week. Next week comes and goes. The next following, now it's been 2 weeks. Now it's been 3 weeks. So being specific on assigning who's in charge of what and detailing it out in a process. And that's part of the reason we offer why we train our clients in this franchise sales training workshop. It's a 160-page workbook, and we call it a workshop because you're actually filling it in. So part of it is you're assigning duties on the spot while you're in this session. And then when I look at the third big piece for franchisors or for companies that struggle with franchising is when they try to do it themselves. And I know it's a little self-serving because obviously I'm biased. I think we do a great job. But it's not just with hiring us; it's with hiring professionals in general. So it's relying on experts to help, but not over relying on these experts to do it all for you. So there's a balance in between. So it's kind of two sides of it. It's one, don't try to do it yourself. Everything because it is a new business. There are a lot of legal requirements in franchising. That's by comparison. You wouldn't take your company public independently. You could do all the documents and file all of that if you wanted to, but you're probably not going to. Well, franchising your business has a lot of parallels to taking a company public. There are disclosures and legal requirements and structures and strategies that go into that. But on the other side, if you rely exclusively on third parties, you set yourself up for disappointment where the owner does need to be involved. At the end of the day, the owner is the linchpin that makes this go, especially your first, call it 20 franchises. Those people are buying you as the founder. They're buying you. And that is your differentiator because you don't have 100 franchises yet. So you're telling them, you remember the glory days of McDonald's and Ray Kroc working directly with these franchisees. Well, you're getting it straight from the source with me as a founder, is what you're saying. Is I'm going to help guide you through that process. So that is a big piece of it. So it's being not trying to be so engaged that you're doing everything yourself, but balancing it between not relying only on third parties. That there's a balance in between there. So those are the three that I would take a look at.
Man, I love those answers. Those are great and really, I think, thought-provoking. And also, for somebody listening that is interested in that, like things that you need to consider if that's something that you want to kind of go down that path. And, my next question is like, what makes you all different in the marketplace from a branding standpoint on let's take out the person that's going to try to go do something by themselves, but like, against your competition, right? What are some things that you guys have competitive advantages on and kind of what excites you about what you guys are doing differently?
Yeah, well, I think for me, the big differentiator and what solidified and started this process was getting clear on our purpose and values. It was about 7 or 8 years ago where we really clarified. I spent 6 months, maybe a year, refining, drafting, refining, talking to other stakeholders who know me, staff, employees, friends, close family members to bounce these ideas off of. And we got very, very clear on what our purpose is and what our values are. And in doing so has allowed us to live that out, not just put some stickers up on a wall or paint on a wall, kind of an idea. And so we realize that our purpose, we really want to inspire and foster greatness and help our clients be the best version of what they are able to do. And in doing so, that has attracted great staff, kept great staff around that see that vision. And then our values, our number one value is win-win relationships, and looking at this and saying, we want a win-win coming into this. Where's the win for the client first? So that's always the perspective as we're coming into this, and helping the client see that in when they're doing business with the franchisee, that they're not just looking at the franchisee as an ATM machine, that they're actually looking at the franchisee as you're helping them get to where they want to go, a win for them. And while we transact business, I'm relational in nature. And so it is just me. When I do business with people, I do take stuff personally. When a client doesn't pay their bill, I'm offended. I take it personally because I feel I get close with our clients. We're a boutique firm. We've got a staff of 12 people. I work closely with most of our staff, most of our team members, and that relational piece is important. And so for us, for prospects or clients that who I don't really care, just get it done. Make it happen. Well, they're probably not going to hire us, and I'm not interested really in working with them. If they just want a transaction, there are a lot of folks that'll just do that for them, take their money and crank out some documents, and onward they go. But that's not what we're looking for. So that has become over time a big differentiator. And as such, that has led to things developing and building our podcast. It's coming up on 6 years and 300 some episodes now that we're on, as a way to say, how can we add value to the client? How are we helping them? Even if we never do business with them, we know we're producing great content. And we started a webinar program actually right about 2 weeks after COVID, because I always remember we called it Navigating the Coronavirus Economy Series. That's what I called it. As I said, we were still calling it the coronavirus then. And so we launched this and said, I don't know what we're doing, but we got to help our clients out. How are we serving first? And so that's been a big push for us and as our team. And then those are big differentiators for us. And in doing so, I don't want to do business with every client. I know for me personally, and I tell our staff all the time, when you're here, we're working, we're doing what we want to do, but you need to have a life outside of this. And so some consultants, and there's nothing wrong with this, it's just I don't want to build this type of business for our team. It's commonplace. You're working from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. and that's normal as you're doing that. For us, I said, you've got to spend time with your friends or family or outside of just doing this. I want to coach. I coach my kids' baseball teams. I volunteer at the school to help out with some events, whatever the kids are doing. That's a value that I hold important, and I want to be an example to the staff, not just say it, but also be an example. So those are things that really start to differentiate us, and the clients that tend to want to do business with us also have similar values. So that's how we've differentiated over the years.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what are you most excited about what you guys are working on right now? Almost done with the first quarter here in 2026. What's the rest of this year look like? What are the goals? What do you got going on?
Yeah, we're working right now to say, how can we add more value to the client? That's a high impact thing that we can do and so right now what we're working on actually is saying, how can we provide, getting back to the franchise sales piece of this, how can we provide to them a cost-effective, or even include in our current cost structure things like CRM access, email automation tools to help them get from, okay, my documents are done, to now I'm live and moving, because there tends to be the kind of this disconnect. So we're saying, how can we help bridge that gap to get them into motion on making it happen so it doesn't sit for 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 12 weeks. So that's what we're working on right now. So how can we help get them nudging forward on that?
That's amazing. I love it. Well, Tom, this has been an incredible episode. I know I learned a lot, and as someone that's been on the inside and a little bit on both ends, this has been very valuable. Where can people listen to your podcast, stay connected with you guys, all on social media? Where's the best places for people to do that?
Yeah, the best place is just go to our website, Big Sky Franchise Team, or bigskyfranchise.com. It has links to everything we offer there, free franchise quiz, access to our podcast. The podcast is called Multiply Your Success. bigskyfranchise.com, you'll get access to all of our free tools. We have hundreds and hundreds of videos and webinars and podcasts, all mostly franchise and small business oriented.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Tom. This was a great episode, and can't wait to have this go out. I'm sure there's quite a few people I know we work with a lot of contractors and home service businesses, and they're always like, man, I've always wanted to expand. Franchising seems so cool. So I think this will be a great episode, and I hope people reach out and stay connected to you. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And thank you to everybody for watching or listening to today's show. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, drop a comment. If you're listening on the podcasting platform of your choice, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave us a 5-star review, share this content all over social media so more people can listen to the Builders of Authority podcast and amazing guests like we had today with Tom. Make sure to go follow him, stay connected, all that good stuff. And remember, authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. We'll see you next week.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. We sure do appreciate it. Until next time, friends.